Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another video. Just a quick chat today about the new Football Manager coming out, right? We all know it's coming. It's the first Football Manager that's ever been released, I think, in my knowledge, where we kind of know what's happening the year after. If you don't know, FM25 is going to be a big graphics update, new engine shenanigans, right? So when we talk about what we hope and expect in FM24, there's no point in saying, oh, I want there to be lots of new animations, corners in the stadiums, better backgrounds, less picnic benches, less giant footballs, all that sort of stuff. There's no real point because we know that's coming and it feels like wasted effort on their part to do. So I'm just going to talk through a few things that I'd like to see in the new Football Manager that's achievable for this version, and also go through a few of the comments. Smashed it. So I've had a big think, and I was trying to think of one main area that I'd like to see improved in FM24 that can be achievable, that isn't wasted development because of FM25. And most of my little annoyances with Football Manager in general is to do with the AI. A few people in the comments also mentioned AI as well, so I'm not alone. The AI in Football Manager is not very good. It's very, I can imagine I'm not a developer, but I imagine it's very complex to do, but also it's pretty rubbish. And this goes for multiple layers of the game. I'm mainly talking about board interactions and talking to the board in general, but mainly transfers. Okay, that's one of the big areas. We know that the transfer area, there's not enough variation. So when you're playing and they're making bids, you know, you've seen it, we've all seen it. You've got an £8 million player that you transfer list and offer for £10 million, and you get 15 bids, and they're all £6.5 million with £500,000 add-on and 10% profit in Excel. Like, they all got together, had a chat, and decided to offer the same thing, which is weird. That can be fixed with just a bit more variation in the bidding process and stuff. But my main issue with AI is how bad the AI managers are. I've seen this painfully many times in my journeyman career when I have a lovely couple of seasons at a club, I bring money into the club, I get good youngsters, and then I leave on to the next club, and then in a year's time I check back to see how that club's getting on, and it is absolutely awful. They've just spashed half the money up the wall again for 4 left backs. The AI is not very good, ironically, at football managing, which is a slight problem. It's the same as if you have an AI manager in charge of, like, let's say Jurgen Klopp. If you check Liverpool in years' time, they might have a few good youngsters, but they just keep players forever until they just get so old. We don't see that nowadays. We see them, with big talk of Mo Salah going. He's probably going to go in a year's time. You sell them while you can still get some money for them and bring in some cash. But the AI just seems to hang on to players for far too long. Whenever I take over a new team in the journeyman, the average age is like 30 plus. They just keep players until, I guess, they retire, and then they get a young player. And the money they spend is like all over the place. And tactically as well, they've got managers. This is how they play. This is how they play to the end of time. No matter what happens, no matter, let's say you're Jurgen Klopp and that's the system he plays. But in the past couple of transfer windows, he's had problems at left back, trying to sign a new left back, or there's an injury crisis. He's not going to play a different formation. There just needs to be so much more complexity in the AI. And I think the game itself would be so much more fun if that was, I want to say fixed. It is fixed because I think some of it is bad. The transfer stuff is fine. You can live with that. Just have a bit more variation in the bids and all that sort of stuff. And when selling players is a bit tricky. But the fixing how AI manages their own team would make the game a drastic improvement. That's why I think the game gets easier the more you play it over the course of 8 seasons. By the 8th season, a lot of your opponents are, you know, all 37 years old and stuff like that. So it doesn't really work. So that is my main headline feature. There's other stuff that will go in, like set pieces and stuff and international management. But let's go a few of your comments that I really liked. So this one was interesting, talking about the Saudi teams. More of a sort of I'm interested to see how they do it situation. I don't know if it's manageable in the day. I can't even remember if it's... I download so many databases, I don't know if it's by default. But is it just going to be like China 2.0? Or are they going to have more interest in it? If you're managing a club there, what the finances looking like? I think it's fascinating. This is not some like feature they need to make. I'm just interested to see what they do with it. So this one's I did point the right direction. Yeah, smashed it. I doubted myself. I always put, because it's, shouldn't have. Good on. I've annoyed myself. So FM24 attacking and defensive formation. Yes, football as we know it has changed a lot, especially I would say in the last 3 or 4 years. We've seen the likes of Klopp and Pep and stuff, especially Pep doing all these wonderful weird formations that you just cannot do in Football Manager. Yes, we've got the things, introductions like the wide centre-back and stuff like that. But I'd like, let's say, for instance, just as an example of what something it's very hard to do in current FM, I'm going to play a back four, all right? Standard back four. But my left back is going to be like I say, wing back on attack. He's going to bomb on, right? Going to bomb on, whip the balls in, job done. Okay, but I want to keep the defensive solidity, so I want my 2 centre backs to move across a little bit, and my right back to then move to make a flat 3 when we're attacking. It's quite hard to do in Football Manager. I think it is time, and this may very well be a FM25 thing with the new engine and all that sort of stuff. That makes more sense. But definitely something we need to see is a defensive, off the ball, on the ball. This is my base setup tactic. And that's what roles were for, right? It's like that's essentially what roles are. This is your shape of your defence, and I would like you to be a winger support, therefore you do what winger supports do. But it's much more complex than that nowadays. And I just think that would be the way to do it. A lot of the stuff that I'd like to try out, I just can't do. Like, for instance, another thing, a back 3, and you've got a anchorman or a halfback, let's say, at DM, and when you're attacking, you want that halfback to drop in, but tactically wise, he's like right in front of the centre back, and I don't trust the game enough to go, now he's going to drop in and the centre back is going to push to the left and he's going to slot in on the right and stuff like that. Or as the way Trent is currently playing, all over the place, it's hard to even work out what he's doing at the moment. But in the last couple of games, he's essentially been starting at right back and then moved into like when we're attacking, not even like a deep line playmaker or a centre back. He's one of the 2 centre-backs when we're attacking. So there's just so much you can do with that I think to be able to replicate in the Football Manager, this needs to happen. An off the ball and on the ball or attacking defensive tactics. It would be so much fun though, wouldn't it? But I think, like I said, this needs probably a new engine for this to happen. But I love it. This one was really interesting. Mental health coaches. I think that is a superb addition to the game. Would be a superb addition to the game. A bit more, make the players a bit more human. Make the players have sometimes issues. I know Sports Interactive I guess because they don't want to be sued, but you know how occasionally you'll have players that come out as gay, or they'll go on a night out and miss training and stuff. And occasional other controversies that happen, but they don't happen. They always happen to like regens and stuff because they don't want to get sued by real life players saying they're a massive pisshead and are out all the time. But I'd like to see more events that take place that affect people, and you have chats with people, and mental health coaching can help with those things. And also, because, you know, my channel's like 99% blokes, right? We're not good at this shit. So anytime, in my opinion, anytime anyone else is encouraged to look at things like mental health and accept mental health as a thing, and having specialist coaches and stuff I think be really good. It just normalizes everything a bit and makes it more okay. And the more of that, you know, the better. I don't see any negative in that. And also fix the predictable job match interviews. Yeah. I don't have a problem with I have a problem with the job interview sometimes when they say, do you remember that controversy you had 7 years ago about that one time that guy got subbed off and really annoyed, and how are you going to do better? And it's like, what? But also, watch a match interview with the manager after the game. They are all the same questions. How well did you play today? What did you think of this guy? Oh, I heard about this transfer rumour. It is real life. They are kind of boring. So this is another big one, but also maybe an FM25 thing. I think they could do something in FM24, like a basis of it, or just not a whole revamp of set pieces, but just give us more options, allow us a little bit more creativity in what we do with our set pieces and stuff. But I would be okay with this one being, hey, FM25 new engine stuff, that could be included in it. I'm fine with that. Refresh the youth system. I agree with this. I was going to say I love young boys, but that's probably the wrong way of saying it. It's one of my, if you've watched my channel, you know that bringing through youth players and developing them and giving them game time is one of my favourite things. But youth intake is a literal lottery. And you have zero control over it. The only thing you can do is buy more tickets to the lottery by asking the board to spend some money in better setups, right? And youth setups and youth recruitment and all. And then fingers crossed in March or April, you get a goodie. I'm pretty sure, I'm not in the footballing world, I'm pretty sure there's more to it than that. Like, even if it was just basic stuff, like, let's say a few months before youth intake day, the board come to you, or you have a youth meeting set up and you're like, is there any particular positions we should focus on? Are we looking for defenders, and should we keep an eye on good wingers or whatever? Or should we be looking at specific countries? Are we just looking at homegrown guys? Or should we spend a bit more money? Let's invest a couple of million quid, and then we'll scout from further afield and maybe find a few good Ghanaian youngsters and stuff like that. And then you would see the fruits of your labour, that's what I was going to say, in the youth intake, and you're like, oh my god, we've got a really good Ghanaian winger, that's cool. Just something to give me a little bit more control, other than just asking the board to just pump a load of money into it, and then fingers crossed. That's, no, not good enough. So I'm going to end this on a nice, simple topic, and that is AI chat, like ChatGPT and all the likes of it and stuff. I've heard this discussed before. We had a big long conversation with the regulars on Discord. Link is in the description if you want to join in the voice chat, and we were just discussing the possibility of using something like ChatGPT in interviews or whatever it is in the game, discussions with players, so that it could react and feel more natural with and you're not being asked the same questions over and over. For me, there's two main problems with this. One, humans doing humans things, because guaranteed someone will try and break it to get their board to say something racist or some random thing. So they would have to very carefully put limits on everything to make sure that you can't steer the conversation in a way. Because, we're humans. We're dickheads. That's what we do, right? So that would need to be careful, but that's doable and has been done before. The big problem is money. For a feature that essentially makes having conversations, interviews, board meetings, etc., a little bit more enjoyable and less repetitive, Sports Interactive would have to license a thing like ChatGPT or a rival one to be in the game. That would be a lot of money for a little bit of, hey, look what you can do now. Like, it's just not enough. It would cost lots and lots, many of the millions that, Football Manager sells a lot of copies each year, but I'd rather that money be spent on things like new engines and stuff like this. Maybe one day, when the technology is cheaper, quicker, faster, more reliable, all that sort of stuff, you can have a little bit, you can just add a little thing in there just to mix it up a little bit. But I don't think for what it improves the game, it is going to be worth spending God knows how much money trying to license one of these giant programs to put into the game. I don't even know what site. How does that mean it would have to always be online as well to reference stuff, or be a massive? So yeah, there's too many issues with it. Maybe one day FM29, that's my prediction for FM29, that sort of thing comes in, or a variation of it, their own basic level of it. But there we go. I'd like to know your thoughts now. Obviously, the new FM, like I said before, it's weird. It's a weird FM. I did get many comments of people saying, I'm just not too hopeful for this one because we know that FM25 is going to be massive. So is FM24 going to be a bit filler? And I can totally see that. And that is very, very possible. But the way I feel about it is that they didn't have to announce FM25 and the new engine and stuff. I feel like, because by doing so, they know that a lot of people are going to feel that way. A lot of us are going to go, what are you doing for FM24? Are you going to skimp a bit? Are you just do some basic stuff, data update, couple of little fluffy bits and job done? But then I feel like because they know that, there's going to be something in this one. And there is things they can do to set up the new game. So I'm still hopeful. Ever the optimist, me. But I do think that there is a fair chance that this is it's a DLC of FM23. Which, to be fair, you could argue is a DLC of the previous one. And maybe a DLC of... Hey, let's not get into that. I always defend Football Manager, and yes, there has been years where there's not been enough, I feel, and they've apologised. They've literally apologised for this year's FM. There's not been enough development in the game. But I look at it on a very sort of logical level in that, forgetting the fact that I do YouTube, right? I have private saves. I have a network save with my mate and stuff. The amount of hours that I get in this game is worth it. Even if it was a data update and one tiny little feature each year, I'd still play it because I enjoy Football Manager, and I'd still get my money's worth in spades. I see people like a Steam review saying, thumbs down, not very good, not enough updates since the last FM, nothing changes. 600 hours. I feel like you probably did get your money worth, didn't you? Yes, the game is never as we hope because we all have a different imagination of what could be the perfect game for us. Like, I've seen people talking about training and stuff and how that can be improved. I couldn't care less about that side of things. So we have a very different perfect game in mind, right? But yes, there is a chance that FM24 is absolute filler content. But I think they'll make sure it's not. You don't announce a new engine, whole new engine for the next year, because that's going to hurt sales, right? Because there are lots of people going, I'm just not going to buy this one, I'm just going to wait for the new one. Fair enough. So they know that's going to hurt sales. And then also apologising for not enough work being done on FM23. I don't think that they would then release a big fat turd of FM24. Because they're setting themselves up to be criticised then. That's just stupid. And if that turns out the case, I will write to Miles and tell him my thoughts in a structured adult way. Not just random abuse on Twitter. Not that I use that anymore. I'd have to find... Oh, God, do I have to email now? What year am I in? Instagram? Oh, it's just as bad. Right, anyway, let me know. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments. If there's anything obvious that I missed or that you disagree, we can maybe give me your... Not what you want to see in FM24. Give me... You can do that as well. But give me what you actually think is going to be, let's say, the main three features of... I did so many things. The main three features of the new Football Manager. And then maybe we'll have a little look back one day and see if any of us were anywhere near being close. Right, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like. Subscribe if you're new. Go watch my videos. See you next time. Bye-bye.